My ex was getting married at 4 o'clock. I knew because she had sent me the invitation herself. We had been apart for 3 years, 3 years without a phone call, 3 years without seeing her face. 3 years of pretending I had finally moved on, and now I was standing outside a white stone church in northern Connecticut, wearing a navy suit specifically because I didn't want to look like a man who had driven 3 hours to watch his former girlfriend marry someone else. I told myself I was there for closure. That was the lie I had chosen. The truth was much simpler. I wanted to see her. Just once, even if it hurt. The wedding venue looked like something from a magazine's. The white roses lined the stone walkway. Black cars filled the parking lot. Guests in expensive dresses and tailored suits moved through the courtyard, laughing, drinking champagne, pretending this was just another beautiful Saturday afternoon. Nobody knew that the man standing near the back entrance had once planned his entire future around the woman getting married inside. Nobody knew that 3 years earlier, I had bought an engagement ring for her. Nobody knew that she had left me before I ever got the chance to give it to her. And nobody knew that 13 minutes before she was supposed to walk down the aisle, she would run outside in her wedding dress and ask me to stop the ceremony. At 3:47 p.m., I was standing near the side of the church when someone grabbed my wrist. I turned to Olivia. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. She was wearing a white wedding dress. Her dark hair was pinned loosely behind her head. Her veil wasn't on. Her makeup was streaked from crying, and she looked terrified, not nervous, terrified. Ethan. I stared at her. Olivia? She looked behind her, then back at me. If you ever loved me, her voice broke. Don't let me marry him. I couldn't move. What happened? She grabbed my hand. Come with me. Olivia, you're getting married in 13 minutes. I know. Then what are you doing? She looked toward the church doors and whispered, he knows. Who? Daniel. Knows what? She swallowed. About us. I frowned. Daniel knows we dated? She shook her head. No. Her fingers tightened around mine. He knows why I left you. Before I could ask another question, the church doors opened. A man stepped outside. Daniel, her fiancé. He looked directly at us. Olivia went pale. Run. And that was the moment I realized I hadn't come to a wedding. I'd walked into a secret that had been waiting 3 years to destroy all of us. Before Olivia became my ex, she was the woman I thought I'd marry. We met in a coffee shop during a thunderstorm. I was 28 and having the worst week of my life. I'd just been laid off from a marketing agency. My car needed a transmission. My landlord had raised my rent. And I was sitting in a corner booth trying to figure out how much ramen I could afford for the next 2 weeks. Then Olivia walked in. She was wearing a gray coat, carrying 3 books and a coffee she clearly didn't like. She looked around. The only empty seat was across from me. Is this taken? I looked at the empty chair. No. She sat. 5 minutes passed. Then water started dripping from the ceiling, right onto her books. She looked up. I looked up, then she looked at me. Is this normal? No. Should I be worried? Probably. She laughed, and that was the first time I heard it. Her real laugh, not polite, not controlled, just warm and completely unguarded. She gathered her books and moved to the other side of the booth. You look like you're having a worse day than me. I got fired. She winced. Okay, you win, thank you. She smiled. We started talking about jobs, books, music, bad coffee, family, everything. When the storm finally ended, the cafe was nearly empty. She stood. I should go. Yeah. She picked up her coat, then paused. Do you want to see me again? I smiled. I thought you were going to ask me if this seat was taken. It wasn't. Still isn't. She took a napkin and wrote her number on it. Call me. When? Tonight? What if I wait 3 years? She smiled. Then I'll probably be married. I laughed. Tonight. I called her that night, and everything changed. Dating Olivia was easy. Not perfect, easy. There is a difference. We argued about stupid things. She hated that I left cabinet doors open. I hated that she stole the blankets. She liked expensive restaurants. I liked tacos from a food truck. She cried during sad commercials. I pretended not to. But when life became difficult, we always found our way back to each other. After 8 months, she met my mother. After a year, I met her family. Her father, Richard Hart, was a powerful businessman who owned a construction company that had been in the family for decades. He shook my hand the first time we met. His grip was hard, his smile wasn't. "You work in marketing?" "Yes." "Good career?" "It's getting there." He nodded. Then he looked at Olivia. "You're serious about him?" She smiled. "Very." Richard looked at me again. "Then make sure you're serious too." I didn't understand the warning. Not then, Olivia did. I could see it in her face, but she said nothing. Months passed. We started talking about moving in together, then marriage. One night, while Olivia slept beside me, I drove to a jewelry store. I bought a ring. I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to surprise her. I kept it hidden in the back of my desk drawer for 2 months. Then one Thursday night, everything changed. Olivia came to my apartment. She didn't take off her coat. She didn't kiss me. She just stood there. "Ethan, we need to talk." "Those 6 words are never good." I smiled nervously. "Okay." She looked at the floor. "I can't do this anymore." I laughed because I thought she was joking. "Do what?" "Use." My smile disappeared. "What happened?" "Nothing." "That's not an answer." She took a breath. "I don't love you anymore." I stared at her. She wouldn't look at me. "Look at me." She didn't, Olivia. Finally, she did. Her eyes were full of tears. And that was when I knew she was lying. But I didn't know why. I begged. I asked questions. I blamed myself. She gave me nothing. Finally, she said, "Please don't make this harder." Then she walked out. I never saw her again. At least, that's what I thought. 3 years later, her wedding invitation arrived. I almost threw it away. Then I saw the handwritten message. "Please come. It's important." I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I looked up her wedding details. Olivia Hart, Daniel Reeves' wedding at 4. I knew Daniel's name. Everyone in the business world did. He was the son of Richard Hart's closest business partner, rich, successful, confident, everything Olivia's father wanted for her. I hated him immediately, even though I'd never met him. I told myself I wasn't jealous. I was lying. When I finally met Daniel at the rehearsal dinner, he surprised me. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't even particularly interested in impressing anyone. He shook my hand. "Ethan Miller?" "Yes, I've heard about you." My stomach tightened. "From Olivia?" He smiled. "Mostly?" "Mostly?" He looked at me for a second, then said, "You should talk to her." "What about?" "Everything." Before I could ask what he meant, someone called him away. That night, I couldn't sleep. Why had Daniel told me to talk to Olivia? Why did he seem almost relieved that I had come? And why did Olivia look like she was attending someone else's wedding? Now, back at the church, Daniel had seen us. Olivia pulled me toward the parking area. "Ethan, we need to get out of here." "Why?" "Because if my father sees us, your father is dead." She stopped. I stared at her. "What?" "My father died 18 months ago." I hadn't known. She looked at me. "That's why I didn't come back." "Why?" "Because by then, everything had already gone too far." "What does that mean?" She grabbed my hand again. "Just trust me." We reached my car, then Daniel appeared. He wasn't angry. He looked exhausted. He held an envelope. "Ethan." Olivia froze. Daniel walked toward us. "I think you deserve to know the truth." He handed me the envelope. Inside was a photograph. Olivia and me, 3 years earlier, the night before she left. On the back was a handwritten note. "If Ethan ever learns the truth, everything falls apart." I looked at Olivia. "What is this?" She whispered, "My father." Olivia finally told me everything. Richard had discovered that the family business was collapsing. Millions of dollars in debt, loans he couldn't repay, employees who depended on the company, her mother's medical expenses, her younger brother's college tuition. Richard had been desperate. Then Daniel's father offered a solution, a merger. But there was a condition: Olivia would marry Daniel, not officially as a business contract, but socially their families would become connected. The debt would disappear. Disappear. The company would survive. Olivia refused. Richard threatened her, not with money, with something worse. He told her that if she stayed with me, he'd destroy my career. He had connections. He could make sure I'd never work in my field again. He could ruin my reputation, and he had evidence of financial misconduct at the company that he could falsely connect to me. Olivia believed him, so she left. She made me hate her because she thought hate would hurt less than watching my life get destroyed. I looked at her. "Why didn't you tell me?" because I thought you would fight. I would have. I know. And you thought that was bad? She started crying. I thought I was protecting you. You destroyed me. I know. You don't get to decide what pain I'm allowed to survive. She nodded. I know. And for the first time, I saw how much regret she'd been carrying. Daniel then revealed something I didn't expect. He had known about me for years. Not because Olivia told him, because Richard had kept letters, hundreds of them. Letters Olivia had written to me but never sent, birthday letters, Christmas letters, letters written after terrible days. Letters written when she missed me, letters written when she was supposed to be planning her wedding to Daniel. Daniel gave me the box. I found these in your father's study after he died, he said. Why give them to me? Because I don't want to marry someone who is still waiting for another man. Olivia looked at him. Daniel, he smiled sadly. I'm sorry. Then he walked away. I opened the first letter. Dear Ethan, today I almost called you. I saw a man wearing the same jacket you used to wear, and for a second I thought it was you. I couldn't read further. I closed my eyes. 3 years of silence, and she had been speaking to me the entire time, just not where I could hear her. I thought that was the whole truth. It wasn't. That night, Olivia admitted there was something else. Something she had never told anyone. Richard hadn't simply threatened her. He had threatened me because of something I'd accidentally discovered while working on a marketing project for his company. 3 years earlier, I'd noticed strange financial transfers, money disappearing through shell companies. I thought it was accounting fraud. I reported it internally. 2 days later, I was fired. I had forgotten about it until Olivia told me the truth. Richard had been laundering money. Daniel's father knew. Olivia's father had used the threat against me because he knew I had seen enough to become dangerous. Then Richard died, and the investigation disappeared. My best friend Derek, but Daniel had found the evidence, and he had spent 18 months quietly collecting it. Why didn't you go to the police? I asked. Daniel answered, because I needed someone who could prove what happened. He looked at me. That person was you. Suddenly, I understood. The wedding wasn't really about Daniel. It wasn't even about Olivia. It was the final piece of a plan to expose Richard's financial crimes. Daniel had agreed to the wedding because he knew Olivia would eventually refuse. And when she did, the people investigating the company would finally have enough evidence. I looked at Olivia. You used me. No. She shook her head. I never wanted you involved. But you invited me. Because I couldn't marry Daniel. She looked at me. And because I couldn't keep lying. The wedding guests were still inside. Nobody knew what was happening. Daniel returned to the altar. Olivia stood beside me. What happens now? I asked. She looked at the church. I don't know. For the first time all day, she wasn't trying to control anything. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't protecting anyone. She was simply Olivia, the woman I'd loved, the woman who broke my heart, the woman who had spent 3 years regretting it. I took her hand. Then let's tell the truth. We walked back into the church. Everyone turned. Daniel stood at the altar. Olivia walked forward. I need to say something. Her voice shook. She told them everything. The business, the threats, the lies, the arranged marriage, the letters. The truth about why she had left me. Her mother cried. Her brother looked furious. And then Daniel stepped forward. He placed the financial evidence on the altar. I can confirm everything, she said. The room erupted. Phones came out. People started calling lawyers. Someone called the police. And suddenly the wedding wasn't a wedding anymore. It was an ending. But not ours. 3 months later, the investigation was public. Richard's company was dismantled. Daniel testified. Olivia testified. I testified. For the first time in years, I felt like the past wasn't chasing me anymore. Olivia and I didn't immediately become a couple. We started slowly. Coffee, walks, dinner, long conversations. Sometimes we argued. Sometimes we cried. Sometimes we sat together without saying anything. We had to learn each other again because love doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't magically repair trust. You have to rebuild it brick by brick, day by day. 6 months after the wedding that never happened, Olivia asked me something. Can I take you somewhere? Where? The coffee shop. I smiled. The one where we met? She nodded. We sat at the same table, the ceiling still leaked, the coffee was still terrible. She looked at me. Do you remember what you said when we first met? You asked if the seat was taken. No. She smiled. You said the leak was probably a sign. I did. Do you still believe that? I looked at her. Absolutely. Why? Because if that ceiling hadn't leaked, I reached across the table. I never would have met you. Her eyes filled with tears. She took my hand. I was so scared you'd never forgive me. I didn't. She looked surprised. I smiled. I chose to. She squeezed my hand. What's the difference? I thought about it. Forgiveness isn't pretending it never happened. Then, what is it? It's deciding the worst thing that happened to us doesn't get to decide everything that happens next. She smiled, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt like we were exactly where we were supposed to be. Epilogue 1 year after Olivia's wedding day, I took her back to that same coffee shop. She had no idea why. I sat across from her. Then I pulled a small velvet box from my pocket. Her eyes widened. Ethan, I know. She laughed nervously. You've already done this once. Technically, I never did. She looked at the box. You're right. I opened it. Inside was a new ring. Not the old one, not the ring that had waited 3 years in a drawer. Something new, something chosen after everything we'd survived. I took her hand. Olivia, 3 years ago, I thought losing you was the worst thing that could happen to me. She was crying now. Then you walked back into my life. I smiled, and I realized something. What? Sometimes losing someone isn't the end of the story. I got down on one knee. Sometimes it's the part where the story finally tells you what matters. She covered her mouth. Will you marry me? She laughed through her tears. Yes. Then she leaned down and kissed me. And as we sat there together, listening to rain tapping against the windows, I looked up at the ceiling. A tiny drop of water landed on the table between us. Olivia laughed. Another sign. I smiled. Yeah. This time I knew exactly what it meant. Some people come into your life at the wrong time. Some leave because they're afraid. And sometimes, after all the lies, heartbreak, and years apart, love finds a way to ask one final question. Are you willing to begin again?